Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 36. So Kyrie doesn't want to play with LeBron no more. So Kyrie's like, I'm the man. Fuck that. Y'all see what I did. We won that finals because of me. Because I hit those shots. Fuck out of here, LeBron. I want to be the man. Right now in the media, oh God, just everything feels like it's upside down, because I'm old enough to watch the transformation. I'm old enough to remember when there was no social media and stuff like that. I remember the beginnings of it and where it's at now. And unfortunately, I must say this. I believe that social media has caused the news media to deteriorate. There's many forms in this and there's a lot of coverage in this, but what I mean is now I have these alerts on my phone, Bleacher Report, a lot of people like that, fan-sided, different apps I put on my phone, and also Twitter. And every now and then I get a notification and I'm thinking it's some news, and I scroll on it and it's like, LeBron said this about this person. That is not goddamn news. Oh, look at how LeBron is listening to the song. He's throwing shade at this guy. When did we become a bunch of freaking housewives? I don't even know where to put it. I mean, I know men gossip, people gossip, everybody gossips. But when did the sports become, when did gossip become news? I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. Let me get back to Kyrie. Let me reel it back into Kyrie. Okay, so Kyrie wants to get out. Now, I'm not going to mention the other teams on the list. One of the teams on the list is the Knicks. I don't need to mention the Spurs. I did it, right? The Spurs, the other teams. You probably know by now. The Spurs, the Timberwolves, the Knicks, and the Heat. Now, I just want to, let me just give you some information before I start to give you my opinion. First, let me give you some information. Kyrie Irving will not be a free agent to 2020, okay? It sounds funny saying 2020. I remember we was all crazy about 2000, the year 2000. Everything's gonna go crazy. Anyway, he will not be a free agent. So basically, he has to play this year, 17-18, 18-19, in the year of, I think he plays 19-20, and then 2020. That's 3 years. 3 basketball seasons. Better way to put it. It may even be 2. Let's just say it's 2. And he has no trade clause. He doesn't have any leverage. Only leverage Kyrie has is being a jerk, being an asshole, fucking up his reputation. And what I mean by that is, only leverage he has is, I'm not coming to training camp. I don't want to play. That's the only thing he has to make them force a trade to a particular team that he wants. Now, something else I want to talk about. We need to stop calling these things leaks when this comes out. This is just information put out there. It's not a leak. It's not a leak. It's not a leak. And I've always thought about it. Like, what the hell does that mean anyway? I've seen a faucet leak. Motherfuckers is running their mouth. That's not a leak. What is it, leaky mouth? It always drives me crazy when I hear that. It was a leak. There's not a fucking leak. People are just talking. God, people are just talking. Let's put that. You have either the Cavs people who leak that out there. Sometimes, and the reason why they might leak it out there is so the people of Cleveland, if they do decide to trade him, or if they had something in the works and they pull it off, it's because Kyrie wanted to go. Or Kyrie's people could have put it out there for basically the same reason. So did it at this time, which to me, the timing was very bad. It was almost like, if this really took place the way they're saying, it's almost like Kyrie really wanted to screw the Cavaliers over. Because, Jimmy Butler was available on Chicago. They would have definitely traded him to Chicago. See, and Paul George, Indiana. And the reason why I mention those, because he doesn't have a no trade clause. And he has 2 to 3 years left on his contract. So they can trade his ass to the 76ers. They can trade him anywhere they want to trade him. What are you going to do? I'm not going to play. I mean, that's not going to work, Kyrie. I don't know if he's trying to spur a conversation. And first of all, this is the problem I'm having with a lot of these millennials. And I don't want to blame the millennials. Let me just say young people, because I'm not a young person, but I'm not old. But when I was growing up, if I had a problem with a person, as my father taught me, if you have a problem with somebody, you look them in the eye and you tell them what the problem is. And you do it before it becomes such a problem where you want to fight or you're super angry. No, as soon as you have an issue with something, you get to, you go to the person, you pull them aside away from other people, and you respectfully tell them what your issue is. And I noticed in the last few years, when Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City, he obviously had some issues with Russell Westbrook. Never discussed them. Didn't even tell him. I mean, that's why I'm realizing, listen, people, anytime you see a press conference with a player saying, I love this team or I love this player, it's all bullshit. These motherfucking NBA players are fickle as shit. I love them. Fucking Kevin Durant covered Russell Westbrook mic and called Mark Cuban a jerk to back up his supposed boy. But then when he goes to Golden State, never calls him. I mean, literally this whole shit, how it played out, him against Russ, all that had to do with because he didn't contact Russ. Russ wasn't mad at him. Yo, dude, you gotta do. If you my boy and you want to go on to something that's better for you, I'm not gonna have a problem with that. But I am gonna have a problem if you my boy and then I wake up and you gone. And then you taking little subtle shots. I like the way this team plays. Nobody just holds the ball. I mean, like, what kind of bullshit is that? Just talk to me. Just come and talk to me. Yo, Russ, I'm out of here. I don't want to be here no more. Fuck Oklahoma City. All right, it's been real. Peace. I mean, trust me. Even if it's sometimes not pleasant, it's better and you will be respected by your peers. Now we got Kyrie Irving. I always say that. Kyrie Irving. You got an issue with LeBron, grow some balls and talk to him. Say, yo, I'm the point guard on this team and I want to make this work. We can work on something. We can get some chemistry. I want to handle the ball. Or do you want to take all the shots? Which one do you want to do, Kyrie? Because as far as I know, Kyrie-led teams have sucked, but that was early in his career. But they haven't been good, but that's been early in his career. All right. So now, I hear a lot of Knicks fans saying, oh, you should take Kyrie. And it's like, I don't understand people sometimes. I think that, like, first of all, we have Google, we have Basketball Reference, we have history on our side to look at things and make a real fact-based opinion, or the word I'm looking for is escaping me. But to really make a good judgment off of knowledge and off of what you know. And that's what I like to do. That's why I do this podcast, because I think a lot of the talk show hosts just say whatever they want to say. They're looking at the phone lines. Everybody wants to call, so they'll say whatever bullshit gets them phone lines ringing. See, I'm not down for that. I don't got a lot of listeners to this, but I still like to speak the truth. So, now, I said all that to say this. Remember a few years back, more than 7 years back, before Carmelo was here and we chased LeBron. And LeBron shitted on us, literally had a freaking meeting about the decision right next to our training facility. Really shitted on us, trolled us, And when he did that, right after that, everybody turned their attention to Carmelo Anthony. And at that time, I remember before the trade, we had Gallinari, we had Wilson Chandler, we had Raymond Felton, Stoudemire. We were building something. We wasn't really that good. I don't know how good that team would have been. Gallinari was injury prone. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Knicks shouldn't have made that trade. I'm not going to say that Melo wasn't worth those pieces, because he obviously was. However, when you trade all of those pieces for one player, you need NBA players to win games. And when you trade all of those pieces like the Knicks did, the cupboard was bare. They didn't have anybody to really put around him. And as great as he is, and his first 3 years, he was like Hercules. He was scoring, he was doing everything. But we weren't getting any results. We had that 154-win season because they actually accurately built around him. All they needed to do is replicate that with younger players, but for some reason they just said, let's not do that shit again. We won 54 games, and let's not do that again. Let's just break this shit up and do it a different way. I don't know what the hell they was thinking. That was ridiculous. So what we gonna do? We're gonna do that again with Kyrie? Yes, he's only 25. But when Melo came here, he was only 28. He was 28, 27, 28. Yeah, Kyrie's 25, but how long, if we trade, let's say, like I hear people saying Porzingis and a couple other young players, let's say we do that. Kyrie's 25. Knicks will suck next year. And they might be decent the next year, but still don't make the playoffs. So in the third year, you might make the playoffs. Guess what? Guess who, after that season, is going to be eligible for a big-ass contract? Yes, Kyrie Irving. At 28 years old, you're going to have to give him a big-ass contract after not doing nothing the last 3 years because you just traded away the whole fucking team to get him. And he's going to, it literally looks like and seems like the same scenario with Carmelo Anthony. It seems like the same one. Only difference is Carmelo could have just waited to free agency. Listen, he wanted to get his money. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lockout looming. I don't blame him. But to me, it looks like, because remember, we had Melo, and then we had to re-sign Melo, right? And that's what's going to happen with Kyrie. That's the same thing that's going to happen. I don't see how the Knicks are going to be good. If, now, mind you, I'm saying if we trade Porzingis, we want Melo out of here, so we might not even trade Melo to them. But let's say we get rid of Porzingis to get Kyrie with a pick and maybe Courtney Lee, because you have to throw in some other things to make the salaries match. Then we trade Melo. So then now we got a team with, let's say we keep Hernan Gomez. We're lucky enough to keep him. Then you got Hardaway, Kyrie, and Hernan Gomez. And really nothing else. Lance Thomas, no real young players because you just traded away your young gems. See, the whole point is getting young is important, but getting young and talented is more important. You don't want to trade away the young, talented pieces, And by the way, I hear people saying that Kyrie's a proven commodity, and I'm always getting on Porzingis, but Porzingis is sort of a proven commodity as well. He hasn't done it in the playoffs, obviously. He hasn't been there. But he's not a bust. You see he's trending upward. What did he average last year? 18? I mean, you're trading an entire foot. You would trade an entire foot. What I mean is he's 12 inches taller than fucking Kyrie. You would trade 7'3" for 6'3", rim protector. By the way, Kyrie is an elite scorer, a below average defender. Sounds a little bit like Melo, right? But at least Melo grabbed rebounds. Look, I'm not against Kyrie. I like Kyrie, but I always got to question. I got to question a player who knows if I stay at this team, I'm going to make the finals every year until I decide, until we get old, basically, until LeBron gets old. And you want out of that, that leads me to believe that it may be another reason why he wants to leave. And it leads me to believe that LeBron might want to leave and he doesn't want to be left there without LeBron. But they don't have to trade him. They don't have to trade him. They could just keep him. There's nothing you could do. What you going to do, not show up to play? Same thing with Melo. As far as the Melo situation, I want to go to Houston. Yo, dude, we gave up the farm for you, and you're not willing to open up the teams that have assets that can help us replenish. You want what you want. But guess what? We paying you. If you really, really, really want what you want, I don't know if he can get out the contract or whatever, but my thing is, dog, I don't know what you want us to do. We playing a game of chicken when it comes to Melo. Are we gonna give in to his demands and send him to Houston and we get nothing back? Maybe Ryan Anderson, get the fuck out of here. Sorry. I don't give a fuck. We'll pay you to sit the fuck down first. I mean, I don't mind if Melo plays. I mean, I'm good with that too. And another thing I want to address is tanking. Just really quick. I think I talked about it before, but I want to talk about it again. You know, people talk about. I just want to explain the difference between tanking and rebuilding. It's the difference. See, people don't know. People don't see it as a difference, rebuilding and tanking. Because a lot of people just look at the record at the end of the day. Like, a team can be tanking and lose 25 and win 25 games, and a team can be rebuilding and also win 25 games. So somebody will look at both teams and say, well, they're both tanking. No, because a tanking is a perfect example of tanking is Philadelphia. They signed a bunch of players who will not be in the league when they're done. When after the end of the year, they have to find other players who will not be in the league anymore. Take on bad contracts. Just get a bunch of scrubs who are not going to be a part of the rebuilding effort. See, tanking, the way Philly did it, they tanked. Now they're trying to rebuild. In that way, I disagree with. Because so far, Philly has been tanking for what, 3 years? Let's just say it's 3. I think it's 4, but let's say it's 3 years, right? So they have purposely not tried. Now, they were a playoff team before they started the tanking because they had Drew Holiday and they decided to tank it all. So let's just say 3 years, right? So now they got a nucleus. So it took them 3 years. They just deliberately not make the playoffs for 3 years. Now they got a nucleus. That nucleus most likely will not make the playoffs this year. So now that's 4 years. They might make it the year after. Let's say they make it next year. There's a chance they could this year, but let's just say they make it next year. Now you're in your 5th year. Now, most likely, I don't think they're going to jump from not making the playoffs to winning a round in the playoffs. Let's look at Milwaukee Bucks as an example. They made the playoffs and missed the playoffs the next year and then made the playoffs. It's hard for a young team. So you're talking about before they become serious contenders, not even serious, let's say second round Eastern Conference contenders, it's going to be like, all in total, it's like 6-7 years. Because again, and we don't know what the chemistry, that's just everything goes right. Because what if Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz don't get together? They both like to have the ball in their hands. They're going to put Ben Simmons at point? He's not a point. He's a point forward, but he's not a point. I just don't believe he's a point. I don't think he has the quickness to be a point. But you're going to put Ben Simmons. So what that leaves, Markelle Fultz is going to be a spot-up shooter? If that's the case, they should have traded down and got Malik Monk and got more picks. I don't know. But either way, that chemistry has to work. Now, they also have to find out if Brett Brown is actually a good coach. Because you were tanking for the last 3 years. Now you got Brett Brown. You don't even know how good he is because he's never had a chance to really coach. So that I don't want to do. Now, Philadelphia is an extreme example, but I just wanted to point to it. Now, rebuilding is different. Rebuilding is, now, you might suck, but once you get a cornerstone, like the Knicks have a cornerstone in Porzingis, like Milwaukee had a cornerstone in Giannis, then they had Parker. Once you get a cornerstone, you put young guys around that cornerstone. If you look at, the guy was arguing with me about Golden State. They got Curry. They realized Curry was really good. They got rid of Ellis. That year they won 23 games. They wasn't trying to lose, but they only won 23 games. They drafted Klay Thompson. They still didn't make the playoffs. I don't think they made the playoffs that next year. And then, but what I'm saying is they started building chemistry. Because those guys were still going to be on the team when it's time to grow. That's how you do it. Yeah, so, I mean, let's look at the Celtics. The Celtics signed a young, cheap, talented player, Isaiah Thomas. And basically, they got him to come off the bench. If you remember, he was coming off the bench, but he still was scorching in the playoffs. I swear, anybody who would listen, I was telling them Isaiah Thomas is the truth. The dude is nice. He can shoot. He can pin it. He does it all. So finally, he got the starting job. But the whole point is, they had Avery Bradley. They started to put together a nucleus of young players. They hired an awesome coach. And they just started building from there. And that's to me how you do it. If you look at Oklahoma City, when they got Kevin Durant, you think they were tanking? They weren't tanking. They was trying to win. But they just wasn't good enough to win. Because when the problem with tanking is when an organization from the top is trying to lose games. Now, if your whole roster, I'm going to tell you the one good time you can tank is if your whole roster is bare and you don't have really good players that you don't think they're going to be there when it's time to win. Yes, okay, then you tank. But once you have your cornerstone, you don't want to tank. First of all, once you have your cornerstone, we all know you're on the clock. Your cornerstone, when it's time to be out, might want to be out. So you going to waste 2 years of that? Nah, you got to start to try to. And one thing about people, like, I don't think players would leave if they see you trying to build and we're just getting there. We're slowly getting there. But if you look at Nerlens Noel, he wanted to get the hell out of there. I mean, he wasn't getting playing time, just to be fair. You know, I mean, it's not a good situation for a young player, a young, good, developing player to be a part of a continuous losing situation where management and ownership is trying to lose. That's not good. He's not going to care about coming to work. Have you ever worked at a job where the people, your bosses, didn't even care about the job? You probably didn't care that much either. But then I've worked for jobs where they did care and they just, you know, mistakes here and there, but they cared, and you try to work hard with that. You try to work with that. You know, and another thing I wanted to address, I feel like it's me against the media, but I don't feel that way. I'm just saying, just tonight. Everybody was talking about, I heard a lot of these commentators, a lot of these nerds, and I'm a nerd myself, but I separate myself from some of these nerds, because some of these nerds, they get too deep into the nerddom. You know, they just literally forget about all phases of life. Like, one thing people don't talk about when it comes to tanking is emotion. And actually, there's people here. This is not 2K where you can tank. I play 2K. I mean, we all play 2K. I play 2K and shit. I always take some imaginary team, or I create a team and I basically trade everybody or release everybody, because you can do that, and sign a bunch of bums and lower the rating, the better. I actually got so good at tanking that I put a point guard at the center position just so I can tank. But these are video games. These people don't have real emotions. Even if you have the chemistry thing and people, it's not real people. In real life, you cannot do that. It's tough to do that. Then you're asking your fans to come and pay full price to see that bullshit. So anyway, I got sidetracked. I wanted to get on to something. When Celtics, before they made this pick, by the way, I love what they did. Making a trade and getting an extra asset. Plus, I think Jason Tatum's the truth. If you have ever heard me talk before, I'm in love. I love wing players. I think they are the guys who really help you win championships at the end of the day. If we look at the last MVPs in the finals, we got Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Iguodala, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, small forwards, wing players, that's the position, man. That's the position, because that is the Swiss knife, the Swiss Army knife of the team is the small forward. Your small forward is supposed to be able to score, rebound, assist, steal, and block. Literally, he's supposed to be that guy that can do everything. He's supposed to be that guy that can guard 2, 3s, and 4s, 5s in a pinch, and 1s in a pinch. Like, they can't always guard 5s, but for a couple of possessions they can guard 5. For a couple of possessions for a switch off they can guard a 1. This is why wings are so important. Wing position players, and that's wing position is the 2 guard and the small forward. Those are very important positions in the league. You know, for all the point guard talk, point guards, man, they need wing players and to go along with them for them to do well. So anyway, I heard all this talk about people saying, you know, Celtics announcers, oh, we should just draft Markelle Fultz, even though they have a guy who's basically a superstar at the point guard position, and the team is built around it. But let's just get Markelle Fultz, and And let's just wait till LeBron's reign is over in the East. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? First of all, it's bullshit because these executives that run these other teams, they're going to get fired if they don't try to win. Which I forgot to say, Jeff Hornacek doesn't want to tank. Look, he got 2 years left on his contract, and if anybody who knows sports, when it comes to coaches, managers, when they have 2 years, usually that next to last year is the make or break year. Teams usually don't keep coaches and managers in their last year because they feel like it does something to the team. It doesn't allow the coach to coach. Like, sometimes the players got to know that that guy is going to be there. Once they know that that coach is going to be there, it gives him more structure, more power, and things like that. So this is the year Hornacek got to prove himself. You think he want to tank? He don't want to purposely. Oh, excuse me. Damn, tuna fish makes you do that? He doesn't want to purposely tank. Are you kidding me? He wants to win. So anyway, all these people were saying, you know, hey, let's just wait for LeBron to get old. And look at this. And just like I said, just like I've been telling people, you build your team, you keep going forward, you never know what may happen. If the Knicks, what the Knicks would have thought about that in the 90s with Patrick Ewing? Let's tear it up. We're never going to beat Jordan. Did we know Jordan was going to retire for 3 years? If we look at this right here, did anybody think that Kyrie was going to want to leave Cleveland? They're the kings of the East, but David Griffin is gone. Kyrie wants to be gone. Who knows? Maybe after next year, after next season, LeBron is gone. And look at the Celtics right there, waiting in the wings. Waiting in the wings. Washington, waiting in the wings. This is why I don't believe in tearing down a good team. Now, when they're old, that's different. I don't believe in tearing down a good team. I don't believe in that. You ride it until the wheels fall off. This is the NBA, baby. You could be Orlando Magic. They got rid of Dwight Howard and haven't been good since. And they've had, this is another thing, people overrate picks. They've had picks. Speaking of picks, where's all the Justice Winslow's truth is at? Oh, the Knicks should draft Justice Winslow. Where them people at? Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Little shot. But, like I said, you have to play to win. You don't know what might happen. You don't know. I mean, y'all haven't learned anything from Jack and the Beanstalk? You gotta just go with it. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know. That's why they play the games. So now here go Cleveland. They got all this problems going on. And you got teams in the East that not as good as Cleveland. But if Cleveland got issues, you never know what might happen. They may shake up the team, make a trade, whatever. That's a lot of pressure. But you should be right there. I didn't believe that the Clippers should have broke it up. Now, I know the West has a lot more better teams. But you stay the course. When you have a good team, you stay the course. Now, it's one thing if you have a good team and your team is like the second, third seed, and then they're the 8th seed. But still, I don't believe in tearing any good team down. I believe in renovating. You renovate. You get rid of one of your big pieces, and you keep your draft picks. You have to keep your draft picks because that's part of your renovation. But you just keep, like, say Toronto. What can Toronto do? If, like, say this year they get to the second round or they lose in the first round, it's obvious that now they signed Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and Ibaka. I don't think they're a championship team. So what do? Because people got to understand, this is the glory years of the Toronto Raptors. Why should they break that up? Toronto Raptors have not made the playoffs consistently like this. Washington Wizards, they may not have enough to win the championship, but they haven't had a team this good in years. So they're supposed to break it up and just lose because they can't win. If I can't get to the top, that sounds ridiculous. I would love $1 million, but I wouldn't cry over getting $500,000. What kind of bullshit is this we dealing with? Anyway, that's all I really had to say. I guess this was a half an hour long rant. But when it comes to Kyrie Irving, I want him, if we can do certain things, if we don't have to give up too much. I don't want him in a Carmelo situation, meaning we gave away Porzingis, Hernan Gomez, picks, and things, the gift that keeps on giving. That doesn't work. If you look at Golden State, everybody needs to look at Golden State. Everybody focuses on Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. But you got to remember, that's not why they beat every team. Their team is more better constructed than the Miami Heat were when they had LeBron. What makes Golden State unbeatable and so hard to beat is Iguodala's coming off the bench. They just signed Nick Young to come off the bench, get a little buckets. JaVale McGee, not a great player, but off the bench, decent. They got the young guy, McCall, off the bench. You need at least 10. You need your top 5 got to have stars. Your second 5 got to be budding. They got to be very good. And so you cannot be trading your whole team for one player. That's why if you look at it, why did Cleveland really struggle? Why did they lose to Golden State like they did? Because they had no bench. Every time LeBron sat down, they lost. They started losing the lead. And that also should let you know a little insight to Kyrie. Kyrie Irving had a lot of freedom. And when LeBron would go to the bench, he would go a little nut. He would shoot the ball, and he would have to come back in the game. Because the LeBron makes sure everybody gets the ball. Kyrie doesn't do that. And I'm not sure that Kyrie's that kind of player. I've always said, if I'm the Knicks, if I do, I want to keep Frank Ntilikina and put him at the shooting guard. Or put him at the point guard, let Kyrie play the 2. Because he's 6'5". I don't know why more teams don't imitate what Philadelphia 76ers did when they had Allen Iverson. If I was Oklahoma City, I would have been put a point guard. Maybe even a Michael Carter-Williams. No, he can't shoot. But a point guard who can distribute to the rest of the team and free Russell Westbrook so he can average 35 a game. Even though he damn near did it anyway, with the ball in his hand. And I think that the same thing, I think Kyrie, and I believe that what happened with LeBron running the point basically unleashed Kyrie. If Kyrie is on ball, I can see it now. He gonna dribble for 10 seconds and then throw a pass. We don't need that shit, man. He's a good player, great player. I don't know if he's a great player. He's a good player. But anyway, I believe in Porzingis. I'm looking forward to seeing what Porzingis can do. I hope the Knicks sign on Damian Dotson, by the way. I like that other kid, Jamel Artis, but it looks like they're not going to sign. They're not going to mess with him. But I like the direction the Knicks are going in. I hope they be like Danny Ainge a little bit. Let the team grow. If they are able to trade Melo, they're gonna build chemistry with Hardaway, Ntilikina, Porzingis, Hernan Gomez, and the rest of the team. Don't forget about Kuzminskis, who's gonna be in his second year with the Knicks. He's 27 though, 28. Ron Baker. It's not a great team, but they're building chemistry, which is very, very important. Then this year, I think they probably missed the playoffs. But they get another top 10 pick. That's how you build. You add to what you have. You don't take everything down and just, it's crazy. But anyway, folks, that brings me to the end of this podcast. I just wanted to put that out there, talk a little bit about the Kyrie situation. And until next time, Knicks home court. Peace.